So you're thinking about buying a car. Maybe it's your first car, maybe it's your fifth, or maybe you've just spent the last 2 hours convincing yourself that a $60,000 SUV is somehow an investment. Spoiler, it's not. But don't worry, I'm here to save you from your own bad decisions. Today, we're breaking down the 24-10 car buying rule, which is like the cheat code for not ruining your financial life every time you want a new set of wheels. If you haven't heard of this rule, don't worry. Most people haven't. But by the end of this video, not only will you know what it is, you'll also understand why it's the ultimate formula for buying a car that you can actually afford. Okay, let's break it down. The 24-10 rule is like your financial BFF. It says, put down 20% of the car's price as a down payment. Finance the car for no more than 4 years. Make sure your total car expenses don't exceed 10% of your gross monthly income. Sounds simple, right? But why these specific numbers? Let's dig in. First, the 20% down payment. Why 20%? Because it protects you from something called depreciation. The second you drive your car off the lot, it loses value faster than a meme stock after a Reddit crash. On average, a new car loses 10% of its value in the first month and up to 20% in the first year. That's like buying a $30,000 car and immediately throwing $6,000 out the window. By putting 20% down, you're making sure you're not upside down on your loan. That means you owe less on the car than it's actually worth. If you ever need to sell it or trade it in, you won't be stuck paying the difference out of pocket. Plus, a larger down payment means smaller monthly payments and less interest over the life of the loan. It's basically future you saying thank you. Next up, the 4-year rule. Here's a little secret. Car dealers love long-term loans. Why? Because they make you feel like you can afford way more car than you actually can. But there's a catch. The longer the loan, the more you pay in interest. And the worst part? You're stuck paying for a car that's rapidly losing value. By the time you're done paying off a 7-year loan, your car might be worth less than the phone you're watching this video on. A 4-year loan keeps your payments manageable and minimizes the amount of interest you'll pay. Plus, it forces you to stay within your budget. If you can't afford the payments on a 4-year loan, you can't afford the car. Period. Finally, the 10% rule. This one's the real game changer. It says that your total car expenses, that means loan payments, insurance, gas, maintenance, and any other car-related costs, shouldn't exceed 10% of your gross monthly income. Let's say you make $5,000 a month before taxes. That means your car expenses shouldn't go over $500 a month. If you're spending more than that, you're putting too much of your income into something that loses value every single day. The 10% rule ensures that you have enough money left over for other important things, like saving for retirement, paying off debt, or, eating something other than ramen. Now let's be real, most people don't follow the 24-10 rule. Why? Because car dealerships are really good at convincing you that you can afford more than you actually can. They'll stretch your loan term to 6, 7, or even 8 years to make the monthly payments look smaller. But remember, just because you can afford the payment doesn't mean you can afford the car. And don't get me started on leasing. It's like renting a car long-term and still having nothing to show for it at the end. So how do you actually use the 24-10 rule? It's easy. Start by figuring out your budget. Take your gross monthly income and multiply it by 10% to get your total car expense limit. Factor in things like insurance, gas, and maintenance to see how much you can afford for a monthly loan payment. Use an online loan calculator to figure out the car price that fits your budget with a 20% down payment and a 4-year loan. And remember, stick to your budget. If the car you want doesn't fit, don't stretch your finances to make it work. There are plenty of great options out there. Now, you might be wondering, but what if I need a car right now and I can't afford 20% down? Or what if I found my dream car, but it doesn't fit the 24-10 rule? Look, the 24-10 rule isn't carved in stone. It's a guideline, not a law. If you absolutely need a car and can't follow the rule perfectly, do the best you can. Just remember that every dollar you overspend on a car is a dollar you're not investing in your future. The goal is to make smart financial decisions, not to impress strangers on Instagram with your new car. The 24-10 rule might not be as exciting as a shiny new sports car, but it's a surefire way to avoid financial regret. By putting 20% down, financing for 4 years or less, and keeping your total car expenses under 10% of your income, you're setting yourself up for long-term financial success. So the next time you're shopping for a car, remember the 24-10 rule. Your future self will thank you.